world does not owe you remembrance. It does not pause for the ones who hesitate. It does not mourn the ones who refuse to rise. It consumes the weak, discards the forgotten, and moves forward as if they never existed at all. Fight or be forgotten. That is the law. The only law. Every name that ever mattered was carved into existence through struggle, through defiance, through the sheer force of refusing to be erased. And the ones who were too afraid, too complacent, too willing to let life dictate their fate, they have been swallowed by time, their stories reduced to whispers, their legacies erased before they even began. Survival has never been a right. It is a war, a battle against stagnation, against the forces that would see you remain nothing. The weak convince themselves that effort is optional, that life will grant them purpose if they wait long enough. But time does not grant meaning, it takes it. The longer you hesitate, the deeper you sink into irrelevance. Every moment wasted is another step toward oblivion. And those who do not fight, they are not remembered, they are replaced. Society feeds on submission. It rewards those who comply, who lower their heads, who accept the scripts written for them. It conditions you to believe that aggression is unnecessary, that ambition is arrogance, that hunger is selfishness. But this is a lie designed to keep you obedient, to ensure that you never rise, that you never question the invisible chains wrapped around your mind. The moment you choose to fight back, to challenge the system, to carve your own path, you become a problem. And problems must be eliminated. The human brain is wired for struggle. It thrives on challenge, on adversity, on the high of conquering. Those who refuse to engage in the fight are not at peace. They are rotting. Decay disguised as comfort. Their minds grow weaker. Their instincts dull. Their existence fades into insignificance. And yet, they wonder why they feel lost, why nothing excites them, why life feels meaningless. The answer is simple. They have abandoned the fight. And in doing so, they have already begun to disappear. In relationships, in power, in every dynamic of life, those who do not assert themselves do not exist. The ones who are remembered, the ones who command respect, the ones who dictate the terms of engagement. They are the ones who fought for it, the ones who refused to be stepped over, who did not tolerate disrespect, who understood that being passive is the fastest way to be erased. Because no one respects the silent, no one fears the submissive, no one remembers the ones who allow themselves to be forgotten. Psychologically, the need for dominance is ingrained in every living creature. It is not a choice, it is survival. The strong take, the weak begin. The world does not balance itself through fairness. It balances itself through force. And those who understand this, those who embrace the reality that life is a war zone, move differently. They do not wait for permission. They do not ask for recognition. They take it. And that is why they are the ones written into history, while the rest fade into dust. People love to worship the victorious, to praise the ones who rose above, to act as if they always believed in them. But before the victory, before the name was immortalized, before the world bowed, that same world tried to bury them, tried to silence them, tried to make them small enough to forget. But the ones who fight do not stay buried. They rise, and when they do, the same mouths that once doubted them will speak their name in reverence. Because nothing is more terrifying than someone who was supposed to disappear, but refused to be forgotten. The ones who complain about their circumstances, who whine about their lack of recognition, who wait for validation from others, they have already lost. No one will come to save them. No one will hand them power. No one will care enough to pull them from irrelevance. That is a battle they must fight alone. And those who do not, those who wait, who hesitate, who hope that the world will remember them without a war, they will rot in obscurity, buried beneath the weight of their own inaction. The choice is simple: fight or be forgotten. Build something unshakable. Carve your name into the bones of history. Force the world to acknowledge your presence, or disappear, like all the others who lacked the will to matter. The battlefield is always open. The war never ends. And those who refuse to pick up their weapons, who refuse to engage, who refuse to claw their way out of insignificance, they will not be mourned. So what will it be? Will you carve your name into eternity with blood, sweat, and fire? Or will you let time erase you? Let the world move on without a trace of your existence? The weak will always choose the latter. But you were never meant to be forgotten. No one is coming to save you. No one will step into the fire on your behalf. No one will fight your wars. No one will carry your burdens. You are alone in this battlefield. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start winning. The world is ruthless, indifferent, a machine that grinds the weak into dust while rewarding those who take what they refuse to beg for. You cannot afford to be a feather in the wind, drifting aimlessly, surrendering to the currents of time. Time is not your ally. It is your executioner. And if you do not seize control, if you do not fight for your existence, time will consume you whole, leaving nothing but whispers of what could have been. Life does not pity those who refuse to fight. It does not stop to acknowledge the ones who hesitate, who wait for circumstances to improve, who expect someone to hand them their purpose. Those who do not carve their own path are erased by those who do. The ones who rise are the ones who understand that action is the only currency that matters. The rest, forgotten, lost in the abyss of indecision, too afraid to move, too passive to claim what was always theirs for the taking. You cannot afford to be among them. In relationships, the dynamic is the same. If you do not fight for respect, you will be disrespected. If you do not establish your value, you will be undervalued. If you do not demand loyalty, you will be betrayed. Weakness invites manipulation. Those who refuse to assert themselves become nothing more than placeholders, disposable, interchangeable, unimportant. No one values the person who is easily swayed, who bends under pressure, who fades into the background rather than standing as an immovable force. To be cherished, to be respected, to be truly wanted, you must become irreplaceable. And irreplaceable people do not float. They command. The mind craves direction. It is wired for dominance, for certainty, for movement. Passivity is a slow decay, an erosion of willpower that leaves nothing but a hollow shell of wasted potential. You have seen them, those who move without purpose, who let life dictate their every step, who never choose their battles, but are instead dragged into them, unprepared, unwilling, already defeated. That is the fate of those who refuse to fight. They are not warriors, they are casualties. Psychologically, power belongs to those who claim it. The strongest minds do not wait for life to hand them purpose. They craft it from the ruins of their past, from the betrayals they have endured, from the pain they have sharpened into weapons. Weakness is learned. It is a habit, a slow surrender to external forces, And once the mind learns to surrender, it forgets how to conquer. If you do not fight for control, for dominance over your own existence, you will spend your life being controlled by someone else. The mistake most make is believing that drifting is safer than fighting, that moving with the wind rather than against it will lead them somewhere worthwhile. But feathers do not choose where they land. They are blown, discarded, thrown into storms without resistance. And those who live like this, those who refuse to anchor themselves in purpose, will never know what it feels like to be unshakable. They will never feel the weight of their own strength. They will never experience the satisfaction of knowing that no force, not time, not betrayal, not circumstance, can move them from their path. People who do not fight for themselves become burdens for others to carry, and no one wants to carry dead weight forever. In relationships, in business, in life, the same rule applies. If you are not an asset, you are a liability. If you cannot hold your own, if you are dependent on others for validation, for purpose, for direction, you will always be at the mercy of someone else's will. Strength is not given, it is proven. And those who fail to prove it are discarded, left to rot in the shadows of those who refused to be weak. Time is the most merciless enemy you will ever face. It does not negotiate. It does not pause for those who are lost. It devours, consumes, erases. And if you are not fighting every single day to carve your name into existence, you are nothing more than another forgettable soul, waiting to be swallowed by the void. Those who do not fight for themselves end up watching others live the lives they were too afraid to claim. They become spectators in their own story. They watch as time steals their opportunities, their ambitions, their very identity. The choice has always been simple: fight or fade into nothing. Stand your ground, dictate your terms, become something unmovable, undeniable, untouchable, or surrender. Be carried by forces beyond your control, and watch as your existence dissolves into irrelevance. The world remembers those who fight. It erases those who hesitate. And hesitation is a slow death, a fate worse than failure, because failure is at least evidence that you tried.